The capture of Jerusalem by Louis Ginzberg. If the Babylonians thought that the conquest of Jerusalem was an easy task, they were greatly mistaken. For 3 years God endured the inhabitants with strength to withstand the onslaughts of the enemy, in the hope that the Jews would amend their evil ways and abandon their godless conduct, so that the threatened punishment might be annulled. Among the many heroes in the beleaguered city that was bidding defiance to the Babylonians, one by the name of Akiba was particularly distinguished. The stones were hurled at the walls of the city from the catapults wielded by the enemy without. He was wont to catch on his feet and throw them back upon the besiegers. Once it happened that a stone was so cast as to drop, not upon the wall, but in front of it. In his swift race toward it, Akiba was precipitated into the space between the inner and the outer wall. He quickly reassured his friends in the city that his fall had in no wise harmed him. He was only a little shaken up and weak. As soon as he had his accustomed daily meal, a roasted ox, he would be able to scale the wall and resume the struggle with the Babylonians. But human strength and artifice avail not against God. A gust of wind arose, and Akiba was thrown from the wall, and he died. Thereupon the Chaldeans made a breach in the wall and penetrated into the city. 26. Equally fruitless were the endeavors of Hanimel, the uncle of Jeremiah, to save the city. He conjured the angels up, armed them, and had them occupy the walls. The Chaldeans retreated in terror at the sight of the heavenly host, but God changed the names of the angels and brought them back to heaven. Hanimel's exorcisms availed not. When he called the angel of the water, for instance, the response would come from the angel of fire, who bore the former name of his companion. Then Hanimel resorted to the extreme measure of summoning the prince of the world, who raised Jerusalem high up in the air. But God thrust the city down again, and the enemy entered unhindered. 27. Nevertheless, the capture of the city could not have been accomplished if Jeremiah had been present. His deeds were as a firm pillar for the city, and his prayers as a stony wall. Therefore God sent the prophet 28 on an errand out of the city. He was made to go to his native place Anathoth to take possession of a field, his by right of inheritance. Jeremiah rejoiced. He took this as a sign that God would be gracious to Judah, else he would not have commanded him to take possession of a piece of land. Scarcely had the prophet left Jerusalem when an angel descended upon the wall of the city and caused a breach to appear, at the same time crying out, "Let the enemy come and enter the house, for the master of the house is no longer therein. The enemy has leave to despoil it and destroy it. Go ye into the vineyard and snap the vines asunder, for the watchman hath gone away and abandoned it. But let no man boast and say, He and his have vanquished the city. Nay, a conquered city have ye conquered, a dead people have ye killed." The enemy rushed in and ascended the Temple Mount, and on the spot whereon King Solomon had been in the habit of sitting when he took counsel with the elders, the Chaldeans plotted how to reduce the temple to ashes. During their sinister deliberations, they beheld 4 angels, each with a flaming torch in his hand, descending and setting fire to the 4 corners of the temple. The high priest, seeing the flames shoot up, cast the keys of the temple heavenward, saying, "Here are the keys of thy house. It seems I am an untrustworthy custodian." And as he turned, he was seized by the enemy and slaughtered in the very place on which he had been wont to offer the daily sacrifice. With him perished his daughter, her blood mingling with her father's. The priests and the Levites threw themselves into the flames with their harps and trumpets, and to escape the violence feared from the licentious Chaldeans. 29. The virgins who wove the curtains for the sanctuary followed their example. Still more horrible was the carnage caused among the people by Nebuzaradan, spurred on as he was by the sight of the blood of the murdered prophet Zechariah seething on the floor of the temple. At first the Jews sought to conceal the true story connected with the blood. At length they had to confess that it was the blood of a prophet who had prophesied the destruction of the temple, and for his candor had been slain by the people. Nebuzaradan, to appease the prophet, ordered the scholars of the kingdom to be executed first on the bloody spot, then the school children, and at last the young priests, more than 1,000,000 souls in all. But the blood of the prophet went on seething and reeking, until Nebuzaradan exclaimed, "Zechariah, Zechariah, the good in Israel I have slaughtered. Dost thou desire the destruction of the whole people?" Then the blood ceased to seethe. Nebuzaradan was startled by the thought, if the Jews who had a single life upon their conscience were made to atone so cruelly, what would be his own fate? He left Nebuchadnezzar and became a proselyte. 30.